Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club to Japan. I'm very glad you attend this event here in the room and online. I am Khaldoon Azhari, the former president of this club, and have the honor to moderate this event today. Our main guest speaker today is well known, and he has come to the club many times. Talking about the Palestinian problems, especially the occupation, Israeli occupation. And we hope he doesn't come next time to talk about the same topic. We hope he comes to talk about the peace that will prevail, hopefully prevail in the Middle East, but all factors in the region doesn't indicate any of that hope, and it's developing into bloodshed, has been always like that, and the main country that is accused of that is Israel. And our guest speaker today, he will talk about this in details and for about 30 minutes, and that will be followed by question and answers. And press conference will be only in English. There will be no translation into Japanese. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest speaker, Ambassador Waleed Siam, Ambassador of the State of Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Khaldoon, for a nice introduction, as always. Distinguished members of the press club, please let me begin by extending really my sincere gratitude to this esteemed institution for inviting me today. Your generosity offers not only hospitality to me personally, actually, but also a platform for a voice that carries the history, pain, and resilience of my people. In a world where truth is often silenced, your invitation is more than a courtesy. It is a recognition that our stories matter and must be heard. Today I stand here humbly before you, not only as a Palestinian, but as a witness to a century of this position. For more than 75 years, my people have endured exile, siege, forced expulsion, and military occupation. Today, after more than 669 dark days, Gaza has been transformed from the world's largest open-air prison into its largest graveyard. And now, Israeli plans for unfolding to turn it to the largest concentration camp of our time. There's a mass graves in Gaza, mass killing of Gaza. I think if you go on any social media, you can see pictures of the mass graves that Israel says there is no killing, innocent killing of civilians in Gaza. And also where famine is used as a weapon, where 339 Palestinians, including 124 children, have starved to death. forced by the Israeli occupation to starve to death. Let me get you. Maybe many people don't see it online, but those are pictures, a few pictures of the Palestinians that have suffered from famine and died from famine in Gaza because of the Israeli genocide. Yet, unfortunately, Israeli officials deny this reality, for their lies has become their own truth. When neighborhoods are erased, where Gaza was before and Gaza today, 75% of Gaza has completely been erased. 75% of Gaza have been erased. Hospitals, schools, mosques, churches, refugee camps are bombed and people are burned alive, as if Palestinians have no value. Women and children have been buried under the rubble. More than 270 journalists, your brothers in work, have been silenced. Journalists are a target to the Israelis to silence them. An entire people are told, you don't belong to Gaza, you don't belong to Palestine. This animalistic rhetoric is outrageous and terrifying. Colonial powers viciously use dehumanization language to strip our entire people of their humanity, turning them into mere human animals in the eyes of the world, as many Israeli officials themselves have used such term as human animals. We are treated not as human beings, but an obstacle to be removed. This hatred, this cruelty, is a dark attempt to justify the extermination of the Palestinian. It is a brutal reminder of the depth of wickedness and the immense suffering inflicted upon civilians, innocent civilians' lives in Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem. This agony behind such cruelty is a heart-wrenching and unforgettable. I say today there is no more impunity for Israel, for its crimes must be named. Its leaders should be held accountable. Its actions should be judged the same way, under the same law as every other nation. Israel is not different than other nations, and should not be. But unfortunately, Israeli officials have believed in their own fiction. And yet, Netanyahu, the so-called now war criminal, and while Gaza starves, while genocide and ethnic cleansing unfold, Israeli leaders speak openly. The Prime Minister declares it's on a historical and spiritual mission, a mission tied to a dream of a greater Israel. This is their dream. It's not an empty rhetoric. It's a project of expansion, carried out through illegal settlements, war crimes, and a military arsenal that includes nuclear weapons hidden from the international oversight. It's not only a danger to the Palestinians, it's a danger to the region, it's a danger to the entire world. The new map includes all Arab countries. This is what greater Israel they want. And yet, as the world are talking about the recognition of Palestine, This is why the recognition of Palestine, the state of Palestine, is urgent. Recognition is not just a gift for the Palestinian people. It's a duty. It's a duty under international law. And it's the only path to secure borders, to secure our rights, and to secure our dignity, not only for the Palestinians, but also for the Israelis. Equally, Israeli borders must be defined and recognized. They have not defined the borders yet. So that endless expansion at the expense of others finally has to come to an end. Without this project of Greater Israel will continue to displace people and inflame the region and the world. Occupation, genocide, will not bring security for Israel. This will guarantee endless conflict. Only by ending its military occupation of Palestinian territories, recognized by more than 147 countries, and with more joining the call for justice and recognition. Palestinian cause is indispensable for achieving peace in the Middle East. The question is, can Israel really move toward a true peace? Well, they talk about hostages. Yes, we demand the release of all hostages. We demand the release of all hostages, Palestinians and all Israelis. Every human life matters. But hostages, and you have to know this, hostages are not the root cause of this conflict. They are just a symptom of occupation, a symptom of siege and denial of the Palestinian rights. Until these causes are addressed, this cycle of violence will not end, unfortunately. Let's not forget the over 10,000 Palestinians, men, women, children, are hostages, and I say it again, are hostages in Israeli jails. And on every day, Israelis are arresting Palestinians in the West Bank and in Gaza and East Jerusalem. They're not prisoners, they are hostages. Well, yet, Gaza, the destruction in Gaza is not really a natural disaster. Many people say it's a war, it's a conflict. No, it is a genocide. It is an ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. It's a man-made, it's an Israeli-made. More than 65,000 Palestinians have been killed, men and women. And over 100 and almost 60,000 are injured and missing. And most of them are men and with children. They're not collateral damage. They're humans. Family, complete family are erased. Hospital bombed. Churches, mosques, refugee camps are destroyed. People are burned in those tents, coming out of the tents because of the bombing. Journalists are still target. And famine, deliberately imposed. Denying food and water to over 2 million people, while aid is obstructed by the Israeli forces and the Israeli right-wing terrorists. And I can show you some pictures here. They're very proudly, the Israelis are putting these pictures, Israeli soldiers, Israeli right-wing, are putting it on their social media. They're very proud of stopping the aid to Gaza and throwing it in the streets. And then they say there is no famine. And then Israel claims aid is going into Gaza. But the reality is, no, this is what the Israelis are doing. Yeah, this is not it's just a tragedy by really an accident. It's a policy of eradication. It's a policy of ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian population, not only in Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem. And yet, we Palestinians continue to resist in every form. Not because we love the suffering, but because no people on this earth would accept to live under siege and under Israeli military occupation. International law, guys, international law itself affirms the right for us to resist the occupation. But when we resist the occupation, they label us as terrorists. But who is the terrorist today? The person that resists for his freedom, or the person that is trying to take our freedom? And they demand us. They demand the Palestinians should surrender. How should we surrender when the bombs are falling? And they are demanding, many Israeli officials are demanding our extension. They want to extension us, to erase us from history. And unfortunately, the greatest tragedy of all is not only the bombs. It is also the silence. It is the endless debates, the double standards. Israel has ignored every United Nations resolution. It has violated Geneva Convention. It has violated every international law and humanitarian law, and also the rule of law. It behaves as a rogue state. It can do whatever it wants, but all we hear is statements, condemnation. Nobody can do anything to the Israelis to stop them. And yet, unfortunately, the United States, through vetoes, biased diplomacy, continues to shield Israel from accountability. The cancellation of all Palestinian Authority visas to the United Nations is a shocking act of hostility. These actions threaten Palestinian rights at every institution meant to defend them, to defend us, prolonging the occupation and denying us our justice. But history shows rights endure, and steadfastness will ultimately prevail. If the international law cannot protect our right to live, then what does it mean to have all of these laws? What does it mean? That means there's no laws anymore. And this is why we call on all free nations and the people of conscience. Do not look away. Silence is complicity. Neutrality in the face of these massacres, this genocide, this ethnic cleansing, this famine is betrayal to humanity. Not betrayal to the Palestinians only, betrayal to humanity, betrayal to yourselves, to each one of us who is silent. The action is needed now. Accountability, sanctions, and justice. Me being in Japan, Japan has long supported the Palestinians with the humanitarian aid and economic aid, and will call, and with their calls for peace, and with their support of a two-state solution. We are grateful to the government of Japan. We are grateful for all the members of the Diet that signed for the call to recognize the state of Palestine, and to the many, many people in the streets of Japan, and to the many grassroots and the NGOs and NPOs, and to every peace movement in Japan who are standing with Palestine I am very grateful and I am very thankful. But now, and today, it's time for the next step. We urge Japan to recognize the state of Palestine. Such a step would honor Japan's legacy as a nation of peace. It will honor Japan's legacy as a nation of peace. It would send a message to the world that justice is not an option, that peace is only real when Palestinians are free. They say that recognition of the state of Palestine is anti-Semitic, it's anti-Israel, it's anti-this, it's anti-that. I mean, they believe in their own lies. I think they live in a la-la land. Recognizing the state of Palestine will only protect the lives of all Palestinians. The recognition of the state of Palestine is the only way that Israel could live in peace, and the only way to stop it from going into expansionism and into the greater Israel. But, we Palestinians, even the bombs falls, still our poets write, our children sing, and our children dream. 2 years now, no schooling, no universities, but still they're dreaming. They're still getting education. Teachers are teaching in tents, just to show you the resilience of these people, the resilience of these Palestinians, the resilience of the Palestinian people, because they cannot erase our memory. They cannot erase our identity. Never. Because we carry hope that our children one day will live without hunger or fear, that our hospitals are for healing, not to be destroyed, that journalists will not die for telling the truth, and also to allow international journalists to come to Gaza and see what's going on. But they say it's not safe. No. It would be safe if you don't target the journalists. And we hope that the word of justice will finally mean something. We Palestinians, we do not ask for anybody's pity. We ask for our freedom. We don't ask for any charity. We just ask for justice. The world has the power to stop this catastrophe. The only question, does the world have the will? We yearn for a future where no child starves, no family is buried under the rubble, no journalist is silenced, and no people is denied their humanity and their freedom. Only then will peace will prevail. Only then justice will prevail. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador Waleed, for your presentation. I would like to open the floor for your questions. If you have any question, please raise your hand and proceed to either of the mics here in the front. I would like to take the first question. Nishimura-san.
My name is Takuya Nishimura, freelance journalist. United States President Donald Trump proposed building Riviera in the Middle East, a kind of a tourist resort in Gaza. And with relocation of all population, What is your response to that?
Thank you for the question. Gaza is not for sale. And if we wanted to be a Riviera, we will build our own Riviera. So might as well build his own Riviera somewhere else, because we will not allow anyone to tell us what we want for the future. We want to build Gaza as a futuristic city where everybody is welcomed. They can help, yes, but to come and tell us what to do and to take over our land, Gaza is not for sale. Palestinian territories, the state of Palestine, is not for sale. Palestinians, we will never leave our land anymore. They made us leave, forced us to leave in 1947. They said, leave for 1 week and you come back. Over 6 million refugees could not go back. In 1967, they committed atrocities and massacres like they did in 1948, which is the history of Israel. You know, you have to go to the history of Israel. 1948, they had massacres. In 1967, they have massacres. And today, they continue doing massacres to force us out. Today, people in Gaza are more resilient than any time in the world. They will never leave. So to come and say that we want to do this to Gaza, Gaza, Palestinian state, will only be ruled by Palestinians and not many else. If they want to help, the international community, including America, wants to help us, ahla wa sahla, welcome. But to come and tell us what to do, no. So he can go build it somewhere else. There will be no Trump Tower in Gaza for sure.
Thank you. Next question. Yes, please.
My name is Musashi from TV Asahi. Hi. I have two questions.
Sure.
One is, I believe that the international recognition of Palestinian will be the crucial for the pressure to the Israel from the international community. And France and the United Kingdom or as a nation, as a few nations plan to announce the recognition of the Palestinian as a state in the next month's UN General Assembly session. Sorry, but the United States has decided to not to issue their visa to the Mr. Abbas.
Yes.
What do you think about it? And it is the first question. And the second question is about you mentioned that calling on the Japanese government to recognize Palestinian as a state. Did you actually submit some like a formal request to the Foreign Ministry of Japan? Thank you.
Well, as for the visas, I think it's a clear violation of international and agreements with the United Nations. It shows how weak is the United States today. That it's afraid of one person called Abu Mazen Abbas to go to the United Nations and to stand up and speak on behalf of the Palestinians. They're afraid from our voices and for the countries to recognize the state of Palestine. It shows weakness. It doesn't show strength at all. And the United States cannot continue on cover up the Israelis' atrocities anymore. It can't. But even if they don't issue visas, our voice will be heard. And countries will recognize Palestine. Because, see, the recognition of the state of Palestine is overdue many years. Because in 1947-48, when the United Nations illegally partitioned Palestine into two states, an Israeli state and an Arab Palestinian state. Since 1948 until today, what happened? They keep talking. no results. It's time today. Because the recognition of the state of Palestine is the only security for the Palestinians, and it's the only security for the Israelis. Why? Because Israel will have to define its borders once and for all. And if Israel wants peace, why doesn't it want a two-state solution? If the whole world, including Japan, says two-state solution is the only way, but please sit down on the table and discuss. You know, I think JFK, President of the United States, Kennedy said one time, how would you negotiate with a wolf? You know, something like that, in that meaning. We negotiated with Israel since 1993. Today is 2025. Every time we negotiate, we lose more. We lose more and more and more. There is no more negotiation. If they really want peace, like I said, the question is if Israel wants peace, sit down on a table, let's define our borders, and let's have the two-state solution. Because, don't forget, in 2000 and 2002, the Arab came up with the Arab Peace Initiative that stated the following. If Israel goes back to the 1967 borders, which is recognized by 147 countries today and United Nations, all Arab countries, including Islamic countries, including Iran, will sign a peace with Israel. 2002, we told Israel, the whole Arab world and Islamic world said, go back to 1967 borders, two-state solution, we will all make peace with you. But today, Israel is saying no. Today is saying Greater Israel. And if you look at Netanyahu in the United Nations when he did the map, Israel and the rest is the Greater Israel. But nobody really looked at it until you look at the map of the Greater Israel. Because this is what their ideology is. Greater is expansionism. And that's why two-state solution is the only way to really have justice and peace to prevail. Did I answer all your questions? Yes. The second one is did Japan? Yeah. We have requested from Japan many times for the recognition, and I think many Diet members have given a letter to the government of Japan requesting from them to recognize the state of Palestine. And many NGOs and NPOs and many Japanese have signed hundreds of thousands of signatures for the government of Japan to recognize the state of Palestine. And I think Japan will. Because, like I said, Japan its legacy as a peaceful state, as a peaceful nation, it should support people under occupation, people, the Palestinians. It should protect them. And I hope that Japan very soon will recognize the state of Palestine.
Let me pause this question. You mentioned that recognition of Palestine will protect the lives of Palestinians. Do you think it will also protect the life of Israelis too? I mean, where do you think is the most dangerous place in the world for Jews now? It seems that place is Israel, because most Jews in Israel, or most residents, have been in a war since forever, since they were established. So what kind of future for the Jews in Israel you think they have? Thank you.
Well, like I said, the recognition of the state of Palestine is not a gift, it's a right. And without it, peace will be impossible. And it's really not a threat to the state of Israel. It is a security for Israel. Because then all Arab, Islamic, and the world will sign a peace agreement with Israel. But unfortunately, the leadership in Israel today, and if you look at the news, many Israelis are in the streets calling for the resignation of the government of Israel because it is committing not only genocide and ethnic cleansing and famine in Gaza, it is taking Israel to a dark years, because Israel right now has lost a lot of friends in this world because of what it's doing. Because the world can see. The world is not blind. In 1948, there was no internet, or 1967. Today, live news comes from Gaza. Live news comes from everywhere. So you cannot silence it anymore. So I think Israeli government is danger for the Israelis itself, and danger for the region, and danger for the world. Because we've heard many Israeli officials say, let's nuke Gaza. We haven't heard even a senator, US senator, say, let's nuke Gaza. And we've heard the Minister of Finance of Israel says, we will erase the state of Palestine. Yani, if they're saying that, I think that's a danger for the region. It's a danger for the world, because if they use nuclear weapons, then we are all in big trouble. And I don't understand why Israel can have nuclear weapons and nobody else doesn't have the right to have it. So I think we need a Middle East with no nuclear weapons. And I ask again, and I always say it in my speeches, the nuclear weapons armory in Israel should be inspected like it's been inspected everywhere else. Israel should not be sheltered anymore, should not have this privilege of being sheltered anymore. It has to stand up for accountability by international law and the rule of law. Okay.
Hello, my name is Ai Murakami from Yomiuri Shimbun. Thank you so much for your time. This is kind of like a follow-up question, but
sure.
You said you have asked Japanese government to recognize state of Palestine before in the past. I would like to ask if you have request them again recently after this movement occurred, which is like UK and France and Australia and a lot of other countries saying they will recognize Palestine in this month at the UN. And also you hope that Japan will recognize a Palestinian state soon. Do you hope that they will do so in the UN General Assembly this month? Thank you.
As I stated, and reiterate again, we have asked Japan to recognize the state of Palestine in official meetings and in the last meeting at the United Nations, because Japan headed one of the economic groups in the talks at the United Nations. And, but we know that Japan is going through a hard time right now. Let's put it this way. And we understand if Japan wants to postpone it right now, but I still call on Japan that it is time today to stand on the right side of history. You cannot continue on delaying and delaying and delaying. Every delaying of recognizing the state of Palestine, we lose people. We lose land. And Israeli continue its genocide and eradication of the Palestinian people. It's time today to stop that. And the recognition of state of Palestine is the best security for the Palestinians and for the Israelis and for the region and for the free world. Because Israel is not fighting for the free world for liberation and democracy and all that, you know. I don't see, what is the democracy? How can you be a democratic country and you committing genocide and ethnic cleansing and famine? And you call yourself democratic country? How? How? In what definition is that? Or you're You are fighting for the liberation and the freedom of the free world. What free world? You're committing genocide. And you're saying to yourself, and that's why, unfortunately, they believe in their own lies. Let's put it this way. Let me be very clear. They believe in their own lies, unfortunately. And it's time, that self-deception narrative that the Israelis are saying, unfortunately, today, they accept it as a truth, that they're fighting for liberation and freedom and democracy. But they forgot about the Palestinians that are dying every day. I mean, if you're looking at the numbers, I can't give you the right numbers, but if you look at the news, at least a day is 50 people between killed and injured. Multiply it by 660 days and see what the numbers are. And I can tell you from me calling, and I'm from Gaza. I used to live in Gaza before I came here. I can tell you 10% of the population in Gaza have already been killed, injured, or missing and under rubble. And the thing about it, the Israelis, after they destroy, and you can go on social media, there is many in the social media that shows you Israeli soldiers, how they're committing the crimes. They are very proud to put a tank or to blow up a whole community as a present for their girlfriends or for the wives, and they're laughing about that. It's on the internet by Israeli soldiers, not by the Palestinian press or by the international press. They're committing genocide. And yet, they're saying they're a democratic country and liberal. Come on. I mean, enough is enough. The lies, like I said, has become their own truth. They live in a la-la land, unfortunately.
Hi, my name is Eduardo Martinez from Kyodo News. I just have a question. So Israel has said that it will stop its campaign if Hamas is completely eradicated and all the hostages are free. But if that is the case, realistically, do you think that Gaza will be permitted to rebuild free of Israeli influence? Thank you.
Let me be straightforward on this subject. I always say Hamas is the responsible. But what is the root cause? The root cause is Israeli military occupation for the past 76, 77 years. And the Israeli occupation, and the violence ends. Very simple. 1 + 1 = 2. And Israeli occupation, all violence ends. We accepted the peace with the Israelis. Israel rejected it by the expansionism, the illegal settlements in the West Bank, the illegal taking over homes in East Jerusalem, in Hebron, the attacks on the refugee camps in Qalqilia, Jenin, and the West Bank, the burning of the camps, and also bringing in the big bulldozers and cleaning everything. So Gaza today, you look at it, some of the parts of Gaza they occupy, it's just flat land. Where's the homes? Where's the bodies? Where is the infrastructure? They're cleaning up their crime, unfortunately. So, who's responsible? Is Israel. Israel continuing its military occupation, and I keep saying it, genocide, ethnic cleansing, and famine. As long as is that there, I don't think the violence will end.
Yes. Let me ask another question while they are thinking about theirs?
Sure.
You mentioned that the word anti-Semitic. So do you mean yourself? Because I understand you are Semitic. So do you think that the word anti-Semitic is targeting you and the Palestinians and Arabs also who are Semitic?
I think I said it that I challenge every Israeli leader to go to a DNA testing and see who's Semitic and who's not Semitic, who's Abrahamian and who's not Abrahamian. We Palestinians, Arabs are Semitic. I don't know, they're using this anti-Semitic labeling as to scare the world and to scare anybody that talks anything against Israel or anything about the Jews. Jews, Christians, and Muslims come from the same faith. It has nothing to do, religion, with what Israel ideology is, which is Zionism, expansionism, genocidism, feminism, ethnic cleanism. This is what Israel is. It has nothing to do with Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So we are Semitic. I am Semitic. So how can I be anti myself? So that's just a thing that the Israelis use from time to time to scare people.
Thank you. All right. We still have time, so please think about your next question. Let me continue asking you, Ambassador.
Sure.
Waleed. It's a great chance for me, but I am in a... Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you very much for your speech.
Thank you.
This is the first time I've ever tried to ask a question about this
Not at
situation, and I would like to say, it's so shocked every day. I feel sick almost. What's going on?
Your name, please, and
And my
affiliation.
question is this: we had the head of the Knesset here last week.
Yes.
And he spent a lot of time going on about Hamas terrorists. And I wonder why you and your colleagues don't point out that, Menachem Begin, who founded the Likud party, and most of the leaders of Israel are actually originally terrorists. Could you explain why you are not more, you don't point this out?
Please mention your name for our records.
Mike Galbraith, I'm a freelance journalist.
Thank you.
Well, if really resistance of occupation is called terrorism, then the real problem itself is occupation itself. If we look at history, people look at what's happening today, but they forget the history. Let's go back in time, 1932, 34, 35, 36, 37, up to the 40s. When the illegal Israelis ran away from Europe and came illegally on ships, running away from prosecution in Europe, came to Palestine. They formed terrorist groups. Many terrorist groups, headed by former prime ministers of Israel. Ben-Gurion, Shamir, even Peres, all of them. And they say, even Golda Meir, and they say there is no Palestine. But we have documentation, and it's online, that says that, as an example, Golda Meir, Palestinian ID. Her nationality is Palestinian. Shamir, his nationality was Palestinian. And they still say there's no Palestinians. Those are terrorists. Even the British government put them on the terrorist list. And all these terrorist groups came to be what they call today, what we call the IOF, Israeli Occupation Forces. It was formed of terrorist groups. And today, this IOF, what the others call them the IDF, is one of the largest terrorist organizations in the world. The largest terrorist organization in the world. Their history is terrorism. We were living in peace. We welcomed people that ran away from prosecution in Europe into our land. We welcomed them. We agreed on giving them 76% of the land, and we take 78%, and we took 22%. But still, they want more and more and more. And maybe they want the whole world, because I've seen some of the leaders in Israel that says that they're the chosen people and God gave them this world. But I wonder what God is that, because it's not my God. And I don't think it's the God that sent Judaism or Christianity or Islam. But unfortunately, labeling terrorism, Hamasism, and others, that's just labels. But today, Israel has proved, with its leader Netanyahu, accused of war crimes, with his former Minister of Defense, originally who they are. They came from terrorist groups, and they continue thinking as terrorist group. And they're committing terror against the Palestinians. Not only against the Palestinians, the Syrian, the Lebanese, the Iranians, anybody, everywhere. Unfortunately. So the world has to really wake up and realize Israel has to be accountable. Israel has to obey international law and the rule of law.
Yes, please.
Sorry, just a follow-up question regarding
Sure,
recognition of Palestinian statehood. So you just said that you understand that Japan is going through a hard time, and you understand that it may want to postpone recognizing Palestinian statehood. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more, and could you also comment on the current relationship between Palestine and Japan? Thank you.
I think the relationship between Palestine and Japan is very tight, and it's very friendly. And Japan, let's not forget that it has helped the Palestinians over $3 billion since 1950s. And also Japan helps the UNRWA and for the refugees. Still believes in a two-state solution. Still believes that the refugees have the right to return. Still believes that it has to help the Palestinian people for an independent state. But Japan, economically, you could see the political, economically, the tariffs, the American tariffs, the world is changing very fast. So we understand what Japan is going through. And we will know, and we are very sure and confident that this time Japan will send a message to the world that justice and the rule of law, which Japan always talk about, the rule of law, international law, is not an option, and that peace is the only way to obtain that in the Middle East. Because today, I can say that what they're talking about, not peace, but Palestine in two pieces. And recognizing the Palestinian state will make it a state and not pieces of a state. So, like I said, we understand Japan, we appreciate Japan, we honor our relationship with Japan, and we call on Japan to really, like I said, take a step forward and recognize us. Because that's the only way path for peace.
We still have some time.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you mentioned, Ambassador, that you are from Gaza. Could you please tell us about like your home, your area, your people, what's their situation now? Thank you.
You know, when they first gave me a call, that everything we invested through our life for retirement has been erased. The first reaction as humans is, oh my God, it's gone. But when you look of what other people have lost and the many lives that has gone, all this materialistic has no meaning anymore. But there is hope that we can rebuild. We lost everything in Gaza. Not only myself, but my wife's family. She lost many family members. Actually, the last member about 10 days ago, he was 52 years old. He could not get medicine for his heart. They found him in the morning dead. 3 of her uncles, at the age between 65 and 82, also died in bed because they didn't have medicine for their heart, for their blood pressure. They died in bed. And many Palestinians are dying in bed because they don't have medicine. And still, the Israeli says, we are helping the Palestinians. This is a big lie, the Palestinians' lies. But I can tell you, from my side, this is the reality. And I talk with a lot of friends in Gaza. And when we talk and we end the phone call, maybe we'll not talk to them. And many of them, we never talked again because they were silent. They were killed. They're under the rubble. Some of them are missing. So this is the life, unfortunately, of the Palestinians today. But we are resilient and we are hopeful that soon, and soon enough, we will rebuild it. Everything that's gone is gone. We will rebuild it. But there's one thing we cannot rebuild. It's the lives of the people that died. Those are not numbers. Those are names. Those are families. Complete family erased from the civil books. The many orphans that we're going to see. The many diseases that we have right now. The many orphans, we don't know who they are. What's their families? How are we going to deal with that? And if the world thinks that the only way is the ceasefire and everything will be dandy, no. After this ceasefire and after this ends, the biggest catastrophe in modern history we're going to face. We're going to face the biggest catastrophe in modern history, unfortunately. But we're still hopeful.
Thank you very much. I think this wraps up our event today.
If you allow me to say my last one.
All right, please go ahead.
You know, I wrote it last night. If asking for freedom, dignity, and statehood is really controversial, then the real controversy is why Palestinians are the only people denied their basic rights and denied their basic freedom. That's my last. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like to give you 1 year honorary membership in our club.
Thank you.
And that's valid immediately. So I hope you come back as a guest and tell us more.
Anytime you allow me to
And
come.
I hope again, as I said, we receive you next time where there is a peace and the Palestinian rights are established. Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you for keeping up with me.
Thank you for coming tonight, this evening, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks.